Ada Azuka held on to her child as she hurriedly boarded the bus home. She wondered to herself how fast and intense change can be. James, the man who had once promised her the world, now looked her in the eyes as though she were a stranger. At home, she told Evelyn all that had happened. "I did not expect to see him here," Ada said. Evelyn was furious, concluding that all men are heartless. "That drama he played is one annoying way to tell you that he's done with you," Evelyn ranted. "The last thing you should do is throw yourself at him, especially not this baby girl." At that, she took the child from Ada for a warm bath. Ada made up her mind with strong resentment for James and love for her child to be a strong mother. Years passed, and the two never crossed paths. Ada still helped Evelyn at the restaurant, from where they got their daily bread. Ada's child, Iris, had grown into a cute, cheerful girl. She attended the same school with Evelyn's daughter. One hot Wednesday afternoon, the market was filled with busy men and women. At Evelyn's local restaurant, Ada was attending to customers directly, while Evelyn stayed in the main kitchen making more dishes, when a man in his 50s walked in. He was wearing expensive-looking suits and holding a matching briefcase. As the man sat down, the other customers looked at him. Some admired his outfit, while some silently mocked him, owing to the fact that rich people do not come to local restaurants for patronage. Ada noticed and tried to make the man feel at ease. She walked up to him with a welcoming smile and politely took his order. As she walked back to the counter to dish out his meal, a teenage boy walked in and stood by the corner staring at the wealthy-looking man. He had dreadlocks and dressed wayward. No one took notice of the boy, but Ada found him suspicious. Ada recalled the tales Evelyn had told her about Lagos bad boys. This made her even more alerted. Even while serving others that came in afterwards, she kept watch of the man and the strange boy. Soon the man was done eating. He paid and stood to leave. Immediately, the strange boy rushed out and intentionally bumped into the man. The man's briefcase fell open. Quickly, the boy bent over to assist the man, pretending to have bumped into him unknowingly. As the man was about to leave, Ada felt something wasn't right. She stopped him and, acting on instinct, grabbed the boy by the collar, not to hurt him, but just to warn him for running into her customers. She wasn't even sure he was a thief, but as she shook him, the man's wallet suddenly dropped from the boy's pockets. "That is mine," the man gasped after searching himself and was sure his wallet was indeed missing. The boy quickly tore himself away from Ada's grip and ran off, afraid of facing Lagos jungle justice. Some of the customers dumped their food, running after the boy as Ada began to scream, "Ole! How did you know he stole from me?" the man asked Ada, puzzled. "My instincts," Ada replied with a triumphant grin. Evelyn had rushed out at the moment to witness what was going on. She praised her niece for being swift, but lamented that some of the customers who had left would not come back to pay for the food they ate. The man offered to pay in their place, but Evelyn felt slightly offended. "My niece helped you out of goodwill. Not every lady is after your money," she said coldly and went back to the restaurant's kitchen. The man finally gave Ada his business card. "Our company is recruiting workers," he said before leaving. Later at home, Ada was lying on the sofa helping the children with their maths homework, while Evelyn prepared dinner. She took her handbag to take her phone for calculating assistance when the business card she had received earlier from the old man fell out. Just then, Evelyn walked in. She spotted the business card immediately and picked it up curious. "That man from the restaurant gave it to me," Ada explained. "It's not like I complained about working at a restaurant," Ada said again with sarcasm in her voice. "You should take up this job," Evelyn said with a serious, mother-like stare. "I don't want to. It is impressive being an entrepreneur. I want to help you at the restaurant," Ada replied. "Can you listen to yourself?" Evelyn snapped rudely. "Look at the name on this business card. We just casually met one of the millionaires in town. Working at this company is a big deal, though. But you have this opportunity with just your third-class certificates and zero office experience." Ada felt offended and asked if the indirect insult was necessary, but Evelyn didn't stop there. Determined to make Ada accept the job, she went on. "Working at a company like this would give you the opportunity to meet people, maybe a good man and father for Iris." "I can take care of my daughter alone," Ada retorted. Evelyn then turned to Iris and asked with a mean look, "Don't your classmates mock you for not having a daddy?" Iris was hurt and began to cry. Ada pushed Evelyn away. She took the business card and swore angrily never to step her feet at Evelyn's restaurant again. Evelyn smiled, feeling fulfilled. "I am doing it for her," she muttered to herself. The next day, Ada dressed up in a black loose trouser and a matching blouse. She wore a little makeup and headed to the JJ Unique Fashion and Accessories Company. She was so nervous. Since she graduated from the university, all she has done was make traditional dresses for townspeople back at home. At the reception, she showed the receptionist the business card and was directed to an office at the third floor of the building. Ada entered an elevator for the first time in 5 years. Initially, she was hesitant about leaving Evelyn's restaurant, but being welcomed by a pleasant atmosphere, cool air, smooth elevator ride, neat and coordinated staff, this made her yearn for a better life. When she got to the man's office, he was excited to see her. He asked her a few normal questions and then went through her CV. Afterwards, he took her to the last floor of the building, taking stairs in order to show her a bit around. Ada felt relaxed with how open the man was. Soon, they were at the managing director's office. At a portable space by the office, there was a fancy desk and chair. The man told Ada that she was being recruited to be the managing director's personal assistant, and the space with desk and chair was her office. Ada was surprised. She was asked to resume work immediately, even without knowing how to be a PA. The man only reassured her that the managing director was an understanding young man, and it would be easy to adapt to the work. Ada sat by the desk. She went through some files there trying to get familiar with things when she stumbled on a documentary about the managing director. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she went through the young man's photos. James? She asked herself and shook her head. That was when she recalled that James's family's business go with the name JJ. I'm going to be James's personal assistant? She gasped. Have we met before? A gentle but formal voice asked. Ada turned to find James staring at her. She quickly closed the files, feeling awkward. She looked up at him in the eyes, trying to find answers to her questions. She wondered how possible it was that he has been pretending to be ignorant of their memories together. James frowned, feeling offended by her continuous gaze at him. Good morning to you too, he said with sarcasm. Good morning, sir. Ada stammered, standing to greet him. James maintained the cold look on his face. He properly introduced himself and told her a few things to know about working with him. He emphasized on keeping boundaries and respecting him as boss, then turned and went to his seat. Memories flooded back. Ada sniffed and blinked away, the tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. Know your place, Ada murmured, mimicking him. He definitely remembers me. It's not like I'm going to flaunt myself at him. She hissed and then went back to work. At noon, the staffs went on lunch break. Ada would have stayed alone, but some friendly female staffs walked up to her and persuaded her to join them for lunch. They also took out time to show her around and talk about different things. It may not be easy to work as Mr. James's personal assistant, one of them said to Ada. They explained to her how the previous ladies lost their jobs in less than 4 months despite the high salary earned. Mr. James is very responsible and strict, one said. He's handsome too. I heard he had to sack those previous personal assistants because they kept flaunting themselves at him. Another one said, It's not like I blame them. I blame Mr. James for being too handsome and admirable. Ada almost choked on her drink, seeing the jealousy in their eyes. It was obvious they also had a thing for James, but was being cautious. He doesn't like ladies flaunting themselves at him, but his uncle keeps employing females. Why? Ada asked curiously. The ladies only giggled and talked about something else. So the man at the restaurant that day is James's uncle? Evelyn asked later at night when discussing about Ada's new work. Ada nodded in agreement. She was still confused as she explained to Evelyn how obvious it was that James really did not recognize her. That doesn't justify the fact that he abandoned you on your wedding day, in the midst of town people, and also left you with a child to raise alone. Evelyn ranted, obviously upset. She advised Ada against working with James, but Ada was determined to find out from him the reasons for his actions. She continued the job. Working as James's PA had its ups and downs for Ada, but she excelled gracefully. She wore elegant dresses to work, proved herself smart and always punctual. Ada never let her emotions disrupt her work. No matter how overwhelming her emotions got, she rather rushed to the bathroom and have a long cry there. Other male staffs approached Ada, confessing love and care, but Ada only had her eyes on James. If there was anything, she was trying to make him fall for her again. Meanwhile, James was oblivious to all that was going on. With time, James stopped nagging and became very reliant on her. He almost could not function well at work without her assistance. He also tried not to let his emotions disrupt his work, seeing how elegantly Ada carried herself, but fate had other plans for them. One cold Monday morning, Evelyn prepared the children for school as Ada prepared for work. Evelyn kept complaining about how cold the rainy days had been and how badly it was affecting Iris. She got this from her father, definitely. Ada said with a light smile. I prefer she doesn't go to school today, Evelyn said. Be a good girl at school today, Ada said to her daughter Iris sharply. She disliked the idea of not going to school. She made sure Iris was putting on sweater before leaving for work. She arrived work early as usual. She was arranging the files in James's office when James walked in. He sat down at the desk and asked her to turn on the air conditioner. Ada was stunned. James was the type that got affected by cold easily. Turning the AC on a cold day like that would definitely be a risk to his health. Nevertheless, Ada turned it on obediently and left. Soon it began to rain heavily. Ada worried about her daughter in school that she called to make sure all was well. The rain continued to pour down till evening when work dismissed for the day. Almost all staffs had packed their stuffs and left. Ada packed hers too, but could not leave as she felt uneasy. James had not stepped out of his office that day. Talk about the cold. Ada could not contain. She still held grudges against him, but her worry for his well-being was greater. She rushed into his office and panicked at the sight of him laying on the bare floor, shivering very badly. Ada screamed as she rushed towards him. She cuddled him up as she used to back in time, trying to keep him warm. She rubbed her palms swiftly together and pressed against his cheek. She turned on the heater, sat him down on the floor, and wrapped herself around him till he warmed up. Later, she made him a cup of tea and fed him gently. Seeing how helpless he was a moment ago and the possibility that something worse could have happened, struck her hard that she began to sob. You get cold easily. Don't you know better than to take good care of yourself in times like this? How am I supposed to get my answers if something bad happens to you? Ada cried. James was thankful she saved him, but was surprised at her tears. She noticed and quickly looked away, claiming she was only worried about losing her job. She stood up to leave, but James held her back. They locked eyes. Ada felt her cheeks grow warm. This made her feel uneasy. Why does your presence feel familiar? James suddenly asked to Ada's surprise. Ada couldn't find the right words at the moment, so she kept looking down, as if searching for answers at her feet. Is it deja vu? James asked, still holding her hands, with a genuinely confused look. They were sitting too close to each other that one could feel the other's breath. Ada gently took her hands off his grip and shifted away to avoid triggering something inappropriate. I am sorry, James quickly apologized. I was involved in an accident 5 years ago and lost huge part of my memory, he said again with a sad smile. Ada wondered if he was making stories. She was speechless. She had so many thoughts going on in her mind. James apologized again, thinking she was upset, and offered to drive her home. Ada was not in the right state of mind at the time, so she agreed.